cards saying whether or not they wanted to join. If a majority of workers signed the card, they'd get a union. President Obama and congressional Democrats are on board with this proposed change. But the Republican Party has come out against it, way against it, like this is the hill we'll die on against it.
If you want to turn America into Europe, there's nothing will do it faster than eliminating the secret ballot in labor organizing elections.
It's dangerous for America, it's dangerous to small business, and I think it's a threat to one of the fundamentals of democracy.
This is nothing more than a payback to the big labor bosses. Take away the secret ballot election from workers is not supported by union workers, by potential union members. This is, I think, an affront to the American people, and we will do everything we can to stop this.
An affront to the American people. Something even union members hate. A threat to the fundamentals of democracy. Egads. Actually, have you guys actually read the bill? Because if the employees still want the election thingy, they can still do that. Seriously. No, seriously, did you guys read the bill? Do you want just the Cliff Notes version? Here it is from the House Committee on Education and Labor. Quote, the Employee Free Choice Act does not abolish the NLRB election process. That process would still be available. Would still be available. Still available. It does not abolish the secret ballot. People get a choice. It's a pretty simple thing to explain, actually, Employee Free Choice Act. But yet the Republicans are winning the PR battle on this. Here, for example, is the mighty Warren Buffett today bashing the Employee Free Choice Act and getting the facts of it totally wrong.
I understand the reasons for unionization. I mean, and by and large, I think certainly the people that are in unions have not been well treated by the tax code that we've had over the time. I think card check is a mistake. I think the secret ballot's pretty important in the country. You know, I'm against card check. Make it a perfectly flat statement.
Factually inaccurate. Not at all true. Secret ballot still available. If you don't want it, this is just a different way that you can do it. But if you still want the secret ballot, can still have it. I say again, the Employee Free Choice Act, AKA the end of the world. If you ever need like a mnemonic device for remembering where the Republican Party is at on labor issues, on paycheck issues, I find it convenient to remember the car industry bailout debate. You might recall Tennessee Republican Senator Bob Corker's one big contribution to that negotiation. He demanded that American workers' wages be reduced. He demanded from Washington that American workers have their pay reduced to what foreign auto companies pay to their employees. Think about that being your argument in America in a recession. Your argument is to reduce American wages unilaterally from Washington. It's kind of easy to remember if you keep that in mind. The Republican Party does not have a leader right now, but they do apparently have an organizing principle, and this is it. If you find it easier to join a union, the world will end, and we would prefer that Americans got paid less. This is maybe the fundamental ideological clash of this time in America. With our country in this financial pickle that we are in, should our country have more unions or fewer unions? Joining us now is Andy Stern, president of the Service Employees International Union, the country's largest and fastest growing union. Mr. Stern, thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Hey, Rachel, thanks.
Yesterday, Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill says flat out she does not think Democrats have mustered the 60 votes necessary that they need to pass this legislation. Are you worried about its chances for passage?
Well, I think what we've learned when we watch the Omnibus Bill and the D.C. Voting Rights Act, that almost anything can happen in our Congress. So it always does make you nervous. But here's what we know. We're going to get a chance to debate rebuilding the middle class by passing the Employee Free Choice Act. We know that all the Democratic senators that were there last time voted for it, added Arlen Specter. We know that when Al Franken arrives, we have 59 Democrats. We're pretty clear and certain that when the time comes, that we will find a way to rebuild the middle class and give workers some rights in this country again.
Are there any Republican senators other than Arlen Specter who you think might potentially be a yes vote on this?
Yeah, I actually do. I think in some of the discussions we've had with a number of the Republican senators, listen, they have questions, they have concerns, but what they do want is to have a debate. And by Stopping the debate by not getting 60 votes means that workers, the country, no one will get a chance to have this discussion. So I think many of them are ready to have the debate. I think the question when it comes to final passage is a different question.
Well, business leaders and Republicans have cast this battle in apocalyptic terms, right? Talking about the end of civilization. And their rhetoric has been extreme, but it has been fairly effective, even when they are flat out lying about the content of the bill. Why do you think that they have been able, I think, to win the PR war on this so far?
Well, first of all, I think as we learned with George Bush that lying helps. And so when they say we're ending the secret ballot election, as you talked about, Rachel, which is totally a lie, because the law allows now for either a majority to sign cards or to have election. But the big lie works, and we've seen them spend hundreds of millions of dollars. We've seen them set up front groups. But here's the good news. We have like 350 of our members here this week who've been affected by the lack of a choice they have and the difficulties they have of trying to work every day and make a living. They're up on Capitol Hill. They're going to be at the hearing tomorrow. I think the tide's going to turn when we hear from the people that are really affected, which is the workers, not the CEOs, not the business front groups.
Why is it that people who want to unionize, or at least want to explore the possibility of unionizing, why would workers in any given workplace want to use a card check system rather than the secret ballot process if they had the choice?
Well, I always say to people, if you want to know what goes on for workers who want a union and you're a regular person, go tell your boss tomorrow that you want to have a union. And the bell will ring, and all of a sudden these anti-union consultants will arrive. All of a sudden you'll have these one-on-one very special meetings with your supervisor who will tell you how this is really a bad idea. 30% of the elections have workers fired simply because they want to have a union. 92% have these private captive audience meetings that are illegal in an election for your senator or congressman, but happen every day on workplaces. So it is a reign of terror that comes down. And the same kind of fear tactics that we see the CEOs right now in the Chamber of Commerce are the same things that happen to workers. And that's a big weight falling on your head if you're a working person trying to have a union.
What about the allegation that labor officials or that other union members might pressure employees in the card check system, that they have to sign under some sort of pressure from those who would want the union for reasons other than the workers' best interest?
Well, you know, we've done a whole study of figuring out how many times have the workers been intimidated by unions and how many times have they been intimidated by employers. And I'll tell you, we're probably at 100 to 1. And anybody who intimidates a worker, whether they be a union leader or an employer, should be punished. They violate the law. It is just plain wrong. But the truth is, it's not the workers or the unions that are causing these problems, it's the employers.
Andy Stern, president of the Service Employees International Union, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you,
I know you're a
Rachel.
very busy guy. Thanks.
Thanks.
Mexico, the country we share